It was a desperate cinematic attempt at freedom, a moment that felt ripped straight from a movie, but this was all too real. The stakes weren't just high, they were life-altering. For Vitaly Zadorovetsky, this was the last roll of the dice, a gamble with everything on the line. On a sweltering afternoon in Manila's notorious Bicutan detention facility, the air thick with tension and humidity, Vitaly made his move. The prison yard buzzed with the restless energy of men who had lost their freedom, and somewhere in that chaos, Vitaly saw his chance. He spotted a rare lapse in security, a guard distracted, a gate left ajar. Heart pounding, he sprinted, every muscle burning with adrenaline. He scrambled up the wall, hands slipping on the hot concrete, panic and hope warring in his eyes. For a split second it seemed possible, but the escape was over in seconds. Guards reacted instantly, tackling him to the ground with brutal efficiency. The entire ordeal was captured by security cameras, grainy footage that would soon be seen by millions. The leaked footage exploded online, spreading across social media like wildfire. News outlets replayed the dramatic scene, and suddenly Vitaly's failed escape was headline news around the world. This wasn't the brash, confident prankster his millions of fans had cheered for. This was a man stripped of bravado, unraveling under the harsh fluorescent lights of a foreign jail cell. The world watched as the mask slipped. Gaunt, wide-eyed, and desperate, Vitaly's downfall became a global spectacle. His mugshot, haunted and hollow, was shared and dissected by strangers everywhere. The internet that once made him famous now feasted on his misery. But how did a Russian kid with a camera, who once dreamed of making people laugh, end up a pariah in a Filipino jail? What chain of choices led him from viral stardom to this moment of utter desperation? This is more than a failed stunt. It's a cautionary tale about the intoxicating lure of fame, the relentless pressure to stay relevant, and the devastating cost of pushing boundaries too far. The internet rewards risk-takers, until it doesn't. Vitaly's journey from outsider to internet legend, and his catastrophic fall, mirrors the rise and risks of modern internet culture. The same audience that cheered his wildest stunts now watched his lowest moment, a reminder of how quickly fortunes can turn online. He built an empire on chaos, but in the Philippines he learned some boundaries push back, hard. The walls he tried to climb weren't just physical, they were the limits of what fame could protect him from. To truly understand that desperate escape, we need to rewind to the beginning, to the choices, the risks, and the moments that led Vitaly from viral sensation to inmate number 347. This is where the real story starts. Born in Murmansk, Russia, Vitaly's early life was a world away from YouTube stardom. His family immigrated to Florida, and the culture shock was profound. He was the outsider, the kid with the accent, never quite fitting in. But instead of retreating, he used humor and mischief to carve out his place. School held little appeal, he craved excitement and attention. The internet became his stage. YouTube offered a place where being different was an asset. He started filming skits and pranks, learning what made people click. For Vitaly, the outsider status became his superpower. He was laying the groundwork for a career built on shock, laughter, and controversy. In 2011, Vitaly launched Vitaly's DTV, experimenting with skits and vlogs. But it was pranks, bold, confrontational, and raw, that made him a star. His viral hit, The Ultimate Prankster, showcased his fearless commitment and charisma. He wasn't the first prankster, but he was the most audacious. Social awkwardness, shock, and laughter became his formula. His subscriber count exploded, fueled by clickbait titles and wild thumbnails. He built a persona, the lovable rogue, living free from social norms. As his fame grew, so did the scale of his pranks and collaborations. By 2014, he was an internet celebrity. But the pressure to escalate never stopped. The need for bigger stunts would soon lead him down a darker path. With millions watching, Vitaly took his pranks global. His most infamous stunt storming the 2014 FIFA World Cup final, natural-born prankster on his chest. He was tackled, but the world was watching. He'd hijacked a global event. This set a new bar. It wasn't just about YouTube views, but media spectacle. He streaked at NBA Finals, climbed the Hollywood sign, and launched a more extreme channel, Vitaly Uncensored. In Egypt, he illegally scaled a pyramid, earning jail time and global headlines. Fans cheered, critics saw dangerous narcissism. The line between prankster and public menace blurred. Each outrageous stunt fueled the next, creating a cycle he couldn't escape. Vitaly was betting he could always outrun the consequences. In 2025, Vitaly landed in the heart of Manila, a city alive with energy and unpredictability. Armed with his phone and a live stream on Kick, he was determined to push boundaries and capture the wildest reactions. For his followers, this was just another night of chaos. But for Manila, it was the beginning of something much bigger. Vitaly's pranks quickly escalated. He harassed security guards, taunted police officers, and even tried to snatch a gun from an officer's holster. What started as mischief soon crossed the line from comedy to outright criminal behavior, leaving bystanders shocked and authorities on edge. He didn't stop there. Vitaly snatched a fan from a local vendor, commandeered a stranger's motorcycle for a joyride, and hurled offensive remarks about Filipino traditions. Each act was broadcast live, fueling outrage with every reckless move. The live stream went viral in minutes, spreading like wildfire across the Philippines. People watched in disbelief as their city became the stage for disrespect and chaos. Outrage erupted. Local celebrities, popular YouTubers, and everyday citizens united in condemnation. Social media exploded with calls for his arrest and a heartfelt apology to the Filipino people. What Vitaly called edgy content was seen by Filipinos as a blatant act of disrespect, an insult to their culture and their laws. The backlash was immediate and intense. News outlets covered the story and government officials weighed in, demanding accountability. The controversy reached the highest levels of power. In the US or Europe, such antics might have ended in a lawsuit or a slap on the wrist. But in the Philippines, it was a national scandal, an affront that couldn't be ignored. Vitaly had completely misjudged the mood of the country. What he thought was harmless fun was, to locals, a deep offense. The so-called Manila meltdown would not end with viral fame. Instead, it would conclude with the full force of Philippine law coming down on him. For the first time, Vitaly faced consequences he couldn't laugh off or prank his way out of. The world was watching, and Manila was ready to make an example of him. On April 2, 2025, the bustling streets of Manila's Bonifacio Global City were thrown into chaos as Vitaly was dramatically arrested. Cameras from every angle captured the moment, sirens blaring, police shouting, and a crowd gathering to witness the spectacle. The world watched in real time as the notorious prankster, once celebrated for his outrageous stunts, was now handcuffed and led away, his fate uncertain and his bravado gone. The charges against him were extensive and serious. Public disorder, attempted theft, harassment, and even inciting disrespect toward Filipino culture. Each accusation seemed to add another layer to the growing scandal, painting a picture of a man who had finally gone too far. Legal experts debated the severity of his actions, while officials made it clear that this was no laughing matter. What began as a local arrest quickly spiraled into an international incident. Both Russia and the United States, the two countries he claimed as home, refused to intervene or accept responsibility. Diplomatic channels buzzed with tension, as embassies in Manila distanced themselves from the controversy, leaving Vitaly stranded in legal limbo. The Russian ambassador issued a stern warning to tourists: don't pull a Vitaly. The message was clear: his antics would not be tolerated. Meanwhile, the US embassy remained silent, offering no support or comment, further isolating him from any hope of diplomatic rescue. With no country willing to claim him, Vitaly found himself trapped in a Filipino jail, facing the grim reality of up to 18 months behind bars. The conditions were harsh, the future bleak, and the consequences of his actions more real than ever before. President Marcos himself condemned Vitaly's actions in a televised address, calling for strict enforcement of the law. The court denied bail, sending a strong message that no one, not even a famous prankster, was above the law in the Philippines. The man who once seemed untouchable, who had built a career on dodging consequences, was now the cautionary tale, an example for others who might think to test the limits. The media descended in a frenzy, turning his story into headline news. No longer was he seen as a harmless rogue. Instead, he became a symbol of Western arrogance and disrespect, his every move scrutinized by journalists and the public alike. On social media, his name trended for all the wrong reasons. People whispered, pointed, and shared stories, and pulling a Vitaly became shorthand for crossing the line and disrespecting local culture. The global stage he once craved had transformed into a pillory. with the world watching not in admiration, but in judgment. Now, Vitaly was at the mercy of a justice system that had no patience for his brand of comedy, and the consequences he once laughed off had finally caught up with him. Vitaly was sent to Bicutan detention facility, overcrowded, sweltering and unforgiving. Gone were the cameras and control, he was just another inmate. The swagger vanished, replaced by monotony and isolation. He lost his tools, his audience, and his narrative. The loss of control was the harshest punishment for a man who thrived on chaos. In desperation, he attempted escape, a wild, panicked gamble that failed instantly. The attempt sealed his fate, no bail, no leniency. Security footage leaked, showing a broken, defeated Vitaly. The world watched, but this time there was no laughter. The man who once stormed world stages couldn't escape a Manila courtyard. Imprisonment broke more than Vitaly's freedom, it shattered his mental health. Reports described anxiety, depression, and hopelessness. The media circus outside only deepened his isolation. Every update became headline fodder, he was trapped in a public shaming. His fan base fractured. Some defended him, others turned away in disgust. The adoration he'd built curdled into ridicule and pity. Vitaly's story is a case study in the mental cost of viral fame and public backlash. The persona he built was invincible, the man behind it was not. The same viral engine that made him famous now tore him down, with nowhere left to run. Vitaly's rise and fall is a cautionary tale for the digital age. It exposes the dangers of chasing shock value and the relentless pressure to escalate. His story forces us to question what we reward with our clicks, and at what cost. The line between prank and harm isn't universal, it's defined by culture, law, and decency. Vitaly's downfall is a warning. Global fame demands global responsibility. Treating the world as a stage without respect can have real, devastating consequences. Ultimately, we, the audience, helped fuel the cycle. Behind every viral video is a human being, and the pursuit of fame without limits can lead to a prison both literal and metaphorical.